Welcome to Seville, or Sevilla as the locals say. I've been here for a week. I am completely obsessed with this city. And over the next few days, I'm going to show you the best things to do, eat, and see, to some hidden gems I've discovered while I'm here, to checking out the major attractions, which we're going to start with today. I'm so excited. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. I just started my day with a tour of the Seville Cathedral. Seville Cathedral is the largest Gothic cathedral in Spain and the third largest in the world. I opted to take an early morning rooftop tour, which was incredible. I learned all about the history, about how this cathedral started as a mosque originally, which is why it's so big, and also why it doesn't fit the typical cross shape that most cathedrals do. The rooftop tour is something that most visitors don't even know exists. You literally get to walk on the roof of the cathedral. There are a lot of stairs, a lot of narrow, winding passageways, and you walk all over the building. You see the building inside and out from all different angles. You get to see all over the incredible views of the city. I learned so much, not just about the cathedral, but about the history of Seville. It was an excellent tour. I'd highly recommend. The cathedral itself is so huge. You can wander around and get lost easily. One of the more notable things about the cathedral is that it has the tomb of Christopher Columbus, which is not something I ever sought out to see, but I've now seen the tomb of Christopher Columbus. La Giralda is the tower, and what makes this tower unique is that instead of stairs, it is basically a ramp all the way up, which I read online is because they intended for horses to be able to reach the top. The views at the top are fantastic, although there is netting over everything, so you don't get quite the good view as the rooftop tours. So definitely book the rooftop tour. You get a guided tour. Mine was in English. It was fantastic. I spent 2.5 hours in there between the 90-minute guided tour and an hour just wandering around and taking in everything else, climbing the Giralda. And I am very hungry now. Let's go get something to eat. Churros originated in Spain in the 16th century, and Bar El Comercio has been serving their churros here since 1904. I was told by Ninja Monkey over on Instagram that this is the best place to get churros in Seville, and according to the internet, locals love this place too. So I am here. The churros look amazing, and I got them with chocolate. This is my first time trying them with chocolate, so let's see. That is the best chocolate I think I've ever had. These are so good. I love how soft and delightful they are on the inside. A little bit crunchy on the outside, and that chocolate is just like a nice, thick, lovely dark chocolate. It's so nice. This is my favorite thing so far. This feels like having dessert for breakfast, and I love it. I got a cafe con leche, and it is also quite tasty. Cheers. The Metropol Parasol, or Las Setas, as I think it's nicknamed, the mushrooms, was completed in 2011. It claims to be the largest wooden structure in the world at 150 meters long and 70 meters wide. I was reading that some locals think that this is kind of an eyesore, that it's kind of controversial, but I think it's really cool looking. Just trying to figure out how I can get up to the top so we can have a nice view. After all the stairs I just climbed, I'm glad we're taking an elevator. You may get to take a lift to the top, but that doesn't mean it's not full of stairs and hills once you're up here. For €16, Las Setas provides a nice leisurely stroll with some fantastic views of the city. There's also an included film, which I wasn't allowed to film, but can only describe as something you would see if there were a Spain pavilion at Epcot in Disney World. It was really well done and had fans and stuff. Like, it was pretty intense. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And now I've made my way down to what might be the most special part of this whole experience. When they were constructing this, they found Roman ruins, and I thought it was part of admission, but it's actually an extra €2 to visit the antiquarium, which is the Roman ruins. There's not a lot of information in here about what these were, but the sign at the entrance had a map of some of the different houses and things, what these ruins are. So it's kind of like, I guess, a Roman neighborhood of sorts. First, I thought my frame rate in my camera was being weird, but then I realized, no, there are actually several lights in here that are acting like strobe lights, and I'm ready to have a rave. I don't know about you, but let's get our Roman rave on. One of my absolute favorite things that I have loved doing here in Seville is just wandering around and just coming across all kinds of different cool independent shops selling all kinds of things. And so I'm going to just take a wander around and maybe do a little shopping. Even though it is that siesta time where it looks like some of the shops are closing, let's see what we can find. Iglesia del Salvador, or the Church of the Divine Savior, is the second largest church in Seville. And I've been staring at it all week. I've had a fantastic view of it from my apartment. It is time for me to finally go inside. And because I went to the cathedral, it also includes admission into this church. But what I wasn't expecting was how amazing the church is inside. This church is very different from the cathedral. It's very Baroque and was completed in 1712. Lots and lots of details everywhere you look. It has a small museum that contains a lot of different artifacts related to the church. And there's a crypt, which is also kind of like its own little mini museum that tells a lot about the history of Seville. And in 2020, they even uncovered ruins from the former mosque walls. So you can see in the ground in the crypt a lot of the details from the former mosque that was here. Something that was so neat to see that I was not expecting at all is last weekend when I got into town, there were some sort of parades on Friday and Saturday night. I couldn't decide. Somebody told me they were a fiesta. I read online maybe they're called a pasa, but they were basically these Catholic parades where they moved a float through town, a band was playing. It was the most incredible experience to view from my apartment, and I'm so glad I finally got to see that church because that's where they marched to and they left it again, and incredible experience. I wandered back over to the plaza behind the cathedral, and I've been sitting on a bench for close to an hour, just taking in the sights. After climbing a bunch of stairs up to the roof, coming back down, and then climbing the tower, it's just been nice to sit and relax and just take in the sights in this plaza, watching the carriage rides go back and forth. I'm heading to Barrio de Santa Cruz. This is the former Jewish quarter, and it is supposed to have some good tapas around. I am ready for some tapas. I came to a place called La Bartola and got the salmorejo, which is a tapas local to Seville. It's basically like a cold tomato soup that I dipped some bread in. Delightful. And I had a glass of sangria, which was stronger than the glass that I had in Madrid. All in all, that was a great experience. I kind of failed my tapas experience in Madrid because I ate one dish from one place. So I'm going to go and have at least one more place, even if it's a little awkward to eat by myself on a Saturday night. Salud. Oh, that's really good. This one is very, very tasty. I asked the server what he recommended, and he recommended so many things on the menu that I chose two. One of them being the solomillo al whiskey, which is pork that's sauteed with whiskey and garlic and served with some potatoes. Well, that is unbelievably delicious. So tender, and a nice fried potato with it. Makes it excellent. Yeah, it's really good. It's cooked with garlic. That's a whole bulb of garlic, I think. It's very garlicky, peppery. Perfect. I devoured that before my second dish even arrived. That was the kind of delightful pork dish that makes me wish Jeremy was here, because he would have really loved that, especially because it had that nice garlic you could slice off with it. My second item has arrived. This is the queso de cabra frito con miel de caña, which is fried goat cheese with honey. It smells really good. The flavors happening in that bite are a lot, and they're all really good. Yeah, I love that like little funk of the goat cheese with the sweetness of the honey. I'm not sure if that's balsamic in there too. I don't know what's happening, but it's delicious. I'm starting my second day in Plaza de España. Built for the 1929 Ibero-American Exposition, Plaza de España covers 50,000 square meters, making it one of the largest plazas in Spain. It's lined with 48 of these alcoves, each one depicting historical or significant events from that region. I also read online that the Central Canal represents Spain's 4 ancient kingdoms. But maybe my most fun fact is that Colin over on Instagram told me that this is a filming location, specifically Star Wars Episode 2. I got a little too excited because I thought maybe it was the scene where Anakin says that he hates sand, but it was actually, I think, Queen Amidala's palace, so that's pretty cool. And I think other movies like Lawrence of Arabia have been filmed here as well, so check that off the fun filming location box for me today. Made my way over to the Royal Alcazar of Seville, which is the oldest royal palace still in use in Europe. Construction began in the 10th century, but the current palace dates primarily to the 14th century. What makes it really special is that it has a unique Spanish blend of Islamic and Christian styles. The Salon of Ambassadors is especially amazing. It took 5 years to complete, and the dome at the top is made of over 8,000 pieces of wood that are fitted together with a single nail. The gardens are 60,000 square meters and contain plants from all over the world that were brought back by explorers from Spain's colonial empire. This place is amazing. It still belongs to the royal family of Spain. How weird that would be that your house is just open to the public sometimes. This is also probably the most interesting palace or residence I've ever visited. Just how weird it would be to actually live here. But I guess if you're royalty, you'd be used to it. If you do visit, I would recommend to book ahead of time, get a ticket online, and try to get one of the early slots, because when I booked my ticket, the morning slots were already full, and I am feeling how crowded and busy it is here. It's a little bit overwhelming in the sense that there's people everywhere and we're all in each other's way. So definitely book online in advance and try to come early. I've made my way down to the water. This part of town is probably where I've spent the most time. I've been doing a lot of walking and running along the walkways here, and it's so peaceful down here. There is a lot to take in, a lot of, I think, some historically significant things. Like right behind me is Torre del Oro, which is a 13th century watchtower that once controlled access to the river. And I guess the reason that it's called Torre del Oro is because it was originally covered in gold tiles that the sun reflected on. I was also reading on Reddit that this ship here is a replica of the first ship to circumvent the planet. So that's also an option. There's apparently a small museum inside if you want to check that out. Well, what do you know? The sign here confirms that it's true. The first sailing around the world in the 1500s. There are also a number of boat tours that you can take along the river, or if you prefer maneuvering your own vessel, you can rent boats and kayaks and things. Me personally, I prefer a nice leisurely stroll, and I have a very specific place that I'm strolling to today because I haven't had anything to eat yet. It's the afternoon and I'm hungry. Even if you're not attending a bullfight, this bull ring is architecturally and culturally significant. It's considered the cathedral of bullfighting. I read online that they still adhere to the most traditional standards in bullfighting, and there is a guided tour you can take that covers just the history, the controversy, everything about it, and has a museum that has a lot of artifacts and costumes and things like that. So it might be something you're interested in. For me personally, when I think of bullfighting, I think of the Madonna video, Take a Bow, and that's the bullfighting ring I want to go to. I don't think it's too far from here, but I don't think I'm gonna make it there this time, but next time, Spain. I'm making my way across the bridge to the Triana neighborhood, but fun fact about this bridge, it is the oldest iron bridge still standing in Spain, constructed in 1852. I just thought that was a fun fact because I recently was in England and visited the oldest iron bridge in the world, which is in Shropshire. So I feel like it has that connection, connecting things wherever I go. A couple cool little things I learned about this neighborhood is that it is where flamenco dancing originated, and they also, the famous tiles, the ceramic tiles here, were mostly constructed in this neighborhood, and you can go and visit a small museum to experience those. There's also Castillo San Jorge, which is the remains of a medieval fort that you can visit. But I am here in Triana for one reason and one reason alone, and that is food. I'm going to a market. This is Mercado de Triana. I'm going to get some food here, I'm determined. I like to scour the internet on message boards and things and find those places where people have gone somewhere and said, oh, this is the place that you have to go, and came across this market, and now we're here. And it seems like it might be a little bit less happening on a Sunday than it would be during the week, but it is still a very cool market, even if most of the vendors are closed. Am I gonna go to the place where the cool music is coming from without knowing anything about it? Yes, yes I am. Sitting at the bar and asking what they recommended, and he told me the atún encebollado, which is stew onion with tuna fish. It smells good, it looks good. Ordered a local Seville beer called Cruz Campo. Salud. The flavors happening in this dish are unbelievable. I've never had tuna taste like that before. Gosh, the food in Seville here is so phenomenal. Just look how much tuna you get for less than €9. Like, that's a lot of tuna. That's how you know I found a delightful place. Seville truly has the best food. That place was called Cerveceria Loli Triana, I believe, and excellent service, excellent food. Definitely seafood is their specialty. Lots of people ordering seafood, and that tuna was amazing. If you've been here during the week, or if you come here during the week, you have to let me know what else is in here that's cool, because I definitely think that this would be a really happening place during the week, and does seem like the kind of place that locals like to hang out, so that's always a good sign. I learned on my rooftop tour of the cathedral yesterday that that building right there is the tallest building in Seville, but it only recently became that, like maybe in the last 10 or 15 years. And up until that point, La Giralda, the tower at the cathedral, was the tallest point. And when they would construct things, they would construct them less tall than that tower until that thing. And I guess locals think it's kind of an eyesore. They don't like it. It's controversial. But I thought that was an interesting tidbit that I learned. So this has got to be one of only 2 or 3 statues I've ever seen of a woman riding a horse, and probably the only one I've ever seen riding side saddle, which I'm a fan of. I love it. If you know of a good woman on a horse statue, let me know, especially if she's riding side saddle. When I first arrived in Seville, I was settling into my little apartment. I had booked this place specifically because of the stunning view it had of the Church of the Divine Savior, the church I visited on my first day. But on my second night here, all of a sudden, I heard a very loud marching band outside, and when I went to the window to see what all the commotion was about, there was a full procession happening right there in the plaza below. It's so loud. I had no idea this was going to happen. It completely blew me away. The music, the crowd, the emotion, the way I could just tell it was so meaningful to the people down in the streets experiencing it. It was truly one of the most magical things I've ever stumbled upon while traveling. I feel so lucky to have spent 2 weeks here in Seville. It was a magical experience that made my first trip to Spain feel truly special, and watching that Catholic procession really made the experience so wonderful. I started my trip here in Madrid. If you haven't seen that video, it's linked below. And I cannot wait to show you where I'm headed next, because I've heard it's a beautiful city with amazing food. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you there.